All right, guys and gals, if you're still walking around the shop with USB sticks like it's 2007, or worse, if you're dusting off a floppy disk like you're starring in a retro horror film, it's time for a serious upgrade. Let me introduce you to G-Code Cloud plus DNC from Datanomix, because in this game, mistakes cost money, time, and maybe even your next DoD contract. This is GovCloud native, fully secure, built for compliance with the CMMC 2.0, AS9100, and all the other acronyms that make quality managers sleep at night. Full traceability, no drama. So instead of worrying about which G-code version got loaded or accidentally sending out the wrong one, you can focus on what really matters: making chips, meeting deadlines, and winning big contracts. Want to learn more? Check it out at Datanomix.io. Because it's time we stop babysitting USB sticks and start growing real businesses.
Welcome to Manufacturing Mavericks, a podcast where we showcase and celebrate exceptional people from across precision manufacturing who are boldly embracing new ways to improve their processes, grow their bottom lines, and ensure American manufacturing will thrive for generations to come. Welcome to this episode of Manufacturing Mavericks. I'm your host, Greg McHale, and this is a very special episode that we are actually doing live from our company headquarters in Nashua, New Hampshire, where we are joined by a very special guest, Brian Adams, who is the president of PMPA and the chairman of RFMAO. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks very much, Greg and Lisa. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome to have you here. And it was fun to learn that Brian actually, so he's on a tour of New England now. He finds himself sitting in New Hampshire, but actually has some New England roots.
I do. I was raised in Granby, Connecticut. And for those of you that wonder where that is, if you look at the map, there's a little notch cut out of the state of Connecticut. And Granby surrounds that notch. So there are places in my hometown where you have to drive south to get to Massachusetts.
What's funny is for those of us who live in this part of New Hampshire, if we want to go to Maine, we drive south through Massachusetts as well to get to Route 95. So we understand. So very honored that you were able to stop by, visit the Datanomix headquarters on your trip, and would love to hear about what lit the fire for you and what got you started in manufacturing.
Good question, Greg. So briefly, RFMAO Company is a family-owned business. My great-grandfather started RFMAO Company, and my grandfather took over from him. My uncle, Bruce Mao, who is still with us, ran the company from the early 70s. And then I joined in 1983. Circling back to 1980, I was a student at Franklin and Marshall College, and I, like all young people, needed some money, and I thought, well, maybe there's an opportunity to work at RFMAO Company. So I drafted a letter to my uncle, and he said, sure, come on out. So I lived with a variety of relatives in the Chicago area and worked for college summers between 1980, 81, and 82. And just sweeping floors, learning what it's like, smelling the smells, tasting whatever's involved with being in manufacturing. And it was a real learning experience for me because up until that point, I had no experience in manufacturing. What I quickly found out is that the artists, and that's what I want to call them, the artists that were the machinists in the plant at that time were wonderful people, all from a variety of backgrounds who took an interest in helping me learn a variety of the company as time went by. I clearly remember watching some of the seasoned machinists working on their machines and the rhythmic nature of the machines and how they performed their tasks and the grinding of the tools and how those tools worked and how they were set up. And I wasn't allowed to touch the machines in those days because my mother, who was my uncle's oldest sister, said, he can't get hurt. So I was not allowed the privilege of working on the machines then. So my uncles asked if I'd be interested in coming to work for him, and I was originally going to become a lawyer. That was my idea. And when I realized that I wasn't quite sure that's what I wanted, I said, well, let me try going to Mal Company for a year. 42 years later, I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
I keep my fingers crossed that I'm going to get a call from the Red Sox wanting me to be a relief pitcher, and I still have that hope. But barring that, it's been a wonderful career for me. And it's been a long journey. And as I think most people listening to this podcast might know, that there's been many changes within the industry technologically and really socially. Businesses change. But I learned early on that I found great satisfaction in finding a finished product. It's something you can hold on to. And I enjoyed that. So that's kind of the genesis of what set the hook for me.
That's fantastic. One of the jokes that we have on this show is that all the pros started with a broom and a Bridgeport. So we heard the broom part. Did you start with a Bridgeport too?
I was honored to learn the Bridgeport mill, and we still have some. And it is a wonderful tool for learning the ABCs of cutting metal, because you still have to understand visually and with a series of levers and measuring instruments just how something like that works. So yeah, I stood over a barrel of trichloroethylene to clean parts in a barrel, rinsing them off to then hang them on an overhead conveyor that brought them through an open-top Baron Blakesley vapor degreaser in the old days.
Awesome. So what made you decide to reach out to your uncles versus other alternatives?
That's the burning question, because I wish I had a simple answer. I could say I needed the money, but I could work anywhere. I think I remember having conversations with my mom saying that, Brian, that your grandfather and your uncle have done a great job running the business, and they may or may not have an opening for you. But I clearly remember my mom saying, I talked to your grandfather, her dad, John Mao, and he said, whatever Brian decides to do is clearly up to him, but he needs to get his education first. Because my grandfather, John Mao, was big on education, and I'm glad he felt that way.
What I love in all the guests that we've had is how many times it's the case that the entrance into manufacturing was sort of, let me go check it out and see what it's all about. I mean, you're actually the second person in a row. On our last episode was a guest that wanted to be a lawyer and decided instead to go into the family business in machining. So it seems like it's a template.
That is interesting. And as time has gone by, a chunk of my professional life within Mao Company has been to understand the legalities of the things that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. Some pretty, some not so pretty, but clearly an education. I also have a memory of my father. He was curious about what I was going to do. I graduated from F&M, and he said, just keep something in mind. If you don't try to go work at RF Mao Company, we don't want to see the day arrive when you wake up and realize you made the wrong decision by not trying it.
Yeah.
That was great advice.
Totally.
And I'm grateful that he used those exact words. Give it a shot because you don't want to look back and wish you had.
Yeah, the sort of the classic regret framework that people talk about. So 40 plus years now at RF Mao, what challenges have you seen from a technical, cultural, skills perspective over that time frame, and what are the biggest ones that the company is trying to conquer today?
Let's start with technology. The growth of the computer, we'll just say, for lack of generically speaking, how the advances in the machines, how they're made, what they can do, has grown exponentially. That's been a challenge for us to make the right decisions on which of those machines will be the best fit for us. Having personnel, educating those personnel, training them to be able to keep up with the technology has been a big challenge. And we are very much a learn-by-doing operation. As a New Britain house, I'll say, and I use the word house for a shop, right? Because we're a job shop, but we were a New Britain house for many, many years. And we focused exclusively on cutting brass. As time went by, we understood the need to diversify, so now we cut aluminum and we cut bronzes, but we're still 100% non-ferrous. We don't cut any forms of steel. That's kind of been a differentiator for us. Was it the right decision? Who knows? But it's the right decision for us, and we continue to operate like that. So finding technologies and equipment that can complement our high-speed productivity continues to be a challenge for us. Gratefully, we have partnered with some wonderful machine manufacturers that have helped us reach some of our production goals. And moving forward, as I have maybe reached a point in my career where I can't really keep up with some of the younger geniuses we have working there, it's still fun for me to kind of sit back and watch them grow and develop. What's interesting is the sweat and the challenge never really changes. These are still challenges. The machines have changed, right? And the customers certainly change. Customer expectations change. But the constant seems to be rising to the occasion and watching the younger people at Mal Company go through the same problems and processes that I had to go through.
Same sort of physical world problems, maybe at a higher speed, higher rate, higher pressures and bigger demands.
Yeah, exactly right. And the machines can do so much more now. We have morphed from strictly being a New Britain house. We also have Euro turn machines, and that, of course, has become the Timac machine, same basic animal. We also invested in Tornos small diameter SAS16 screw machines, so they continue to be the bulwark of what we have under roof. In the last 5 to 6 years, we've also gotten into this CNC Swiss arena with Star, and Star has been a wonderful partner for us.
How did you go about becoming president of PMPA? What led you there?
Well, let's rewind the clock. I had met Peter Wren of Hudson Screw Machine, and they've since changed their name, but I'll still call them Hudson. And I always admired his personality and his ability to communicate. I could identify with who he was. I have subsequently become very good friends with his son, Jim Wren, who is the current president of Hudson. And in relationships like that, I knew it would make sense for us to explore this animal called PMPA. So it was in 1996, we explored it, and we joined in 97, and my very first national meeting was in San Antonio for the management update meeting, and it was there that I witnessed that I had been missing out on a wonderful opportunity to develop relationships, friendships, professional alliances with what I call friendly competitors in companies and individuals that were as passionate about what they do as what I was doing. So it didn't take long for me to kind of jump on that PMPA experience, getting involved in a variety of committees, getting to know a lot of other individuals locally in the Chicago area, and eventually around the country. It was a learning experience for me, kind of understand and realize that I wasn't alone. It's easy to get caught up in this industry, putting your blinders on, and we're going to do this every day. And it's only by kind of stepping back and realizing that there's a whole lot of other things available, but you got to get involved. So that was what inspired me to maybe take a deeper dive into the PMPA.
Awesome. One of the things I certainly love about this industry is you referred to it, I think, as friendly competitors. There's so much work that needs to be done, right? It's shops don't really compete with each other because for every part that two shops are bidding on, there's another part where one shop's trying to send that to the other one because they need overflow help or they need assistance or they're working on some other big project for their customers. So it just seems like there doesn't need to be this kind of unfriendly competitor dynamic at all in precision manufacturing because there's just so much to do and so much variety and opportunity.
Greg, that's a great way of putting it. That's very accurate. Mal Company, have many friendly competitors. But one of the things I've discovered in my touring around the country and in Canada, as part of being the PMPA president, is that no two shops are exactly alike. And there is enough work for everybody. And I continue to be amazed at some of the things that I see. And like yesterday, I was at another PMPA company, and I was in awe of what they have done on their shop floor and also in their office. And because there are no two shops that are exactly alike, we learn from each other. And the PMPA mantra is better together. And clearly that is the case as I reflect back on the shops that I've been to. And I think I've been through 41 or 42 shops in the last 11 months and change that I've been doing this.
Wow.
I continue to be stunned by what people are doing, and I have great takeaways. You know, the days of protecting your business, and you're not allowed to see this. In the PMPA, that doesn't exist. Members join because they know that there's strength in numbers.
With that perspective that you've acquired now over the last 11 plus months, you think about the evolution at RF Mao of technology, people, culture, skills, and what you've seen in the field as you've gone out to all these shops. How does that inform the strategy of PMPA, let's say, over the next year? Like, what do you see as the hot topics or the things that you feel like PMPA really needs to invest in?
Well, that's actually a very simple answer. It's education. We need to inspire and engage with young people. Encourage them to consider a career in manufacturing because it's no longer the 3Ds, dirty, dark, and dangerous.
Right,
That's
right.
a thing of the past.
Totally.
The shops now, and I'll still call them shops, that do invest in training and educating the young people and convincing them and frequently their parents that their child, their son or their daughter, can find a rewarding career. And there's so many facets of manufacturing now. It's no longer punch the clock, run the screw machine, and go home. There's myriad opportunities under roof now to get involved in technological developments, or R&D, human resources. The companies have grown to the point now where the opportunities for young people go far beyond grinding a form tool. I would say that's the biggest challenge facing everybody in the PMPA, and maybe globally, young people in their country's respective manufacturing base.
I really like your idea of rebranding the 3Ds. We got to come up with something. I'm trying to come up with 3 A's.
Well, the PMPA.
We've got automation.
Yeah,
We've got analytics, and we need one more.
Alliances.
Alliances. There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, the PMPA is a wonderful resource, and I would encourage anyone listening to this podcast, if you're in the manufacturing, do reach out to the PMPA. We have a website, pmpa.org, and we have resources that will answer so many questions. If you're wondering, geez, would it be a good fit for my company? And I think the answer would be a resounding yes.
I think that the other thing is when you talk about the 3Ds, I mean, a lot of people would see a screw machine company as one that was probably most analogous to the 3Ds historically. And your ability to say how that's transformed, I think, is very credible.
Well, next month, I believe October is manufacturing month, and there's a manufacturing day that a lot of the PMPA members, ourselves included, want to bring young people in to see what we're doing now. And that goes beyond just participating in schools' career days and a variety of those things. When the students see what can be done, you can just see it in their eyes, like, wow, check that out. Because not everybody's designed to be a lawyer or a doctor.
Thankfully.
Right. Or a doctor. Whatever profession might be part of our overall thinking in this country. There's a lot of other opportunities.
Like you, I've been in many, many shops, and there are no two that are alike, and I am blown away in every new shop I walk into. Something I see, some methodology, some component, some challenge, some critical part they make for an application I had never thought about before. There's literally an infinite amount of creative opportunity.
There is. So education and technology go hand in hand, right? I mean, the brilliant minds that build these machines, it's mind-bending for me to see the continuing evolution of machines and manufacturing and what the minds behind these machines can do. Well, transmitting that to the Mao companies of the world is a challenge. These machine builders offer training. They want you to learn. They offer it at their facilities. We have machine builders that bring warm bodies into Mao company. Let's train them on site.
I mean, I can tell you across our customer base, folks that are in PMPA, folks that we've met at PMTS, a show we've been going to for as long as we can. Actually, when Lisa started, her first assignment was PMTS, right? Literally a month into starting at Datanomix 4 years ago. That was the first post-COVID trade show for the manufacturing industry, and it was actually our first trade show as a company. So it's certainly an unforgettable experience and has definitely been high value for us to both, meet customers and prospects at the show and all the organization events, and definitely a strong and vibrant community that we've experienced.
Yeah, you're right, Greg. And PMTS was born from what unfortunately has happened to IMTS. As IMTS got bigger and more diverse, the screw machining or the precision manufacturing increasingly had less of a place there. And there was a real need for a show that could target our members, people that are tethered to precision manufacturing. What started off as a reasonably well-attended show has grown into a significant show, and there's people that gear their whole travel year around the PMTS.
Like I said, it's a fantastic show for us. We actually got a nice location. We were in big booth, open on 3 sides, and we were slammed the entire time. So that's what we look for.
It's a good problem to have.
It is. It is. So as we wrap up here, Brian, what we like to close with is if you could go back in time to the young Brian that was sitting there penning a letter to his uncles. I'm going to guess it wasn't typed, right? Was it handwritten?
Oh, it was handwritten.
Yeah. So
he might still have it.
What advice would you give to that Brian about getting into manufacturing as a career?
I would say to the young Brian, you probably have a preconceived notion about what this behemoth called manufacturing or screw machining is. You will be pleasantly surprised as you go through your career, if you stick with it, that you will develop as a person. You will grow as a professional. You will continue learning about the equipment that is a vital part of what we do. So don't get caught up in the perception. Stay with it. That's what I would tell them.
What a fantastic plug for everything we've talked about. Education, technology, personal development opportunity, creativity. I think that's tremendous advice, and it looks like Brian followed it.
I hope I did. I hope I did.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. Very fun having you here. I know we had to do a lightning episode here on a tight schedule. You've been fantastic and really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Greg, for having me. And Lisa, thank you for everything you do as well. I'm also going to make a plug for the PMPA's new executive director. Emily Riley is in the room with me, and she has been a wonderful addition to the PMPA. So we're enjoying our tour. We're enjoying looking around, seeing new shops. So thank you again for having us.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Emily, as well. Thank you for listening to Manufacturing Mavericks. If you'd like to learn more, listen to past episodes, or nominate a future Maverick to be on our show, visit mfgmavericks.com. And don't forget to subscribe to and rate this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or your favorite podcast app.
Let's be honest. How much money are you really losing to scrap, broken tools, and wishful thinking? Yeah, probably more than your accountant's comfortable with. That's where TMAC AI comes in, powered by the brilliance of Karen Engineering and brought to you by the team at Datanomix. This isn't some maybe it'll help gadget. This is real-time, AI-driven feedback while the part is still being cut. That means you're not waiting until inspection to find out you've just made a $500 paperweight. Here's what TMAC AI does. It listens to your machine like a CNC whisperer. It flags bad parts before they become bad news. It fine-tunes your tool life based on actual cutting data, so you're not guessing, you're optimizing. Less scrap, longer tool life, smarter decisions. All without you lifting a finger or losing your cool. Want to see it in action? Head over to Datanomix.io because wasting money is so last season. Do you ever walk out to the shop floor, stop mid-stride, and think, are we even running right now? Yeah, we've all been there, playing the guessing game with production timelines like it's some CNC version of Clue. And let's be real, ERPs weren't built for the trenches, and most monitoring tools might as well be magic 8 balls. That's why Datanomix built their production monitoring platform for real manufacturers with real machines doing real work. It hooks straight into your CNCs, sheet metal, fab equipment, whatever you've got, and starts feeding you the facts in real time. Cycle times, downtime, job performance, all without needing your operator to hit a single extra button. It's like flipping on the lights in your shop for the first time and realizing just how much better things can run when you're not in the dark. Ready to find out what your team can actually do when you give them the right tools? Head over to Datanomix.io and get your eyes on the prize.